Hello, fellow geeks. This week on Geeks of Azeroth, 6.0 is days from release. BlizzCon 2014 schedule is announced, and will Leroy Jenkins be hanging out in your garrison? All of that and more in this week's Geeks of Azeroth.
Hello, welcome to the show. It's me, Tarly, and we have Britza and Zool, the normal cast and crew that's with us every week. I got your name right. I got your name right in one attempt. I'm proud of myself.
I'm glad, thank you.
So let's start the show off by talking about how everyone's week in Azeroth it was, if they had a week in Azeroth. We'll start with you, Britza.
I think this is where the question drops, because I really haven't had a week in Azeroth at all. Now work kind of got in the way, but I did some Battlegrounds instead. I feel like Battlegrounds I haven't really touched for years and years and years, so they're kind of the new content for me. So I just thought I'd chill around in them. Got absolutely annihilated, but that's the fun bit of it, isn't it? Because I was happy that the Horde had destroyed me and that they had some fun stuff out of it, and that's what being an Alliance player is all about. Yeah. Helping the Horde.
How about you, Zool? How was your week?
I haven't had much of a week in Azeroth either. I've been kind of... I'm at the point where I'm like really excited for everything coming up, which is...
What kind of WoW podcast is this?
And this was the week of lots of premieres for new seasons of shows and pilot episodes of certain shows that I was very excited about.
Would that involve a certain superhero?
Quite possibly.
Aquaman.
And I was giddy as a schoolgirl, so yes.
So the new Aquaman TV show's pretty good?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
That'd be an amazing TV show. Don't slate it.
They almost did it.
But they did.
They almost did an Aquaman spin-off of Smallville, but yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. I myself, alas, the third person to not have much of a week in Azeroth. Let's just round off this group here. I spent a little bit of time in Battlegrounds as well, but mainly just excited for what we're going to talk about here momentarily. But not much of a week myself playing WoW either. Just playing the failing game known as Destiny, really.
It says something that franchise has been hit so badly, and yet we're on the verge of a release ourselves, which is so highly anticipated in the same sort of way.
Yeah.
And we're expecting it to go absolutely fine.
Exactly. All right, so moving in to this week's in WoW news. The big news that I think I called this quite a few weeks ago. Warlords of Draenor patch 6.0.2 is coming on, what month is it? October the 14th, this Tuesday. 2 days from recording this video. Yay! I wish I had cheering sound effects right now.
We'll get those, but we said, didn't we? We said a month. And it's practically exactly a month. You couldn't get... Interesting they're doing it on a Tuesday now. They went for the Thursday with the actual release, and they've gone, actually, no, we'll do a Tuesday for the patch.
Well, Tuesday's always patch day. Always.
Oh, is it? Oh, of course it is. Sorry. I don't play this game, clearly.
Does this news surprise anybody that it's coming out, though, on the 14th? Was anyone expecting later or sooner?
No, a month before the X-Pack, which is weird to say, actually. We're a month away from the expansion pack and BlizzCon, but it just about right.
I have to agree. I think a lot of people called about a month. I think a month seems to be the consensus. Whether it's right, I don't know, because, like you say, a month's a long time, and you have to think about the tone of people going in. The last thing you want is a new patch drops and we're expecting so much out of it, but really it's nothing massively new. It's just a change in the systems. It's letting people climatize, and that's the thing. People need to understand this is a climatizing period where you get used to how your character does the same stuff but differently, not doing different stuff in the same way. That's the important thing. So as long as people aren't expecting literally Warlords to be on their doorstep, which they will be, but not in the same way.
So, what are you guys going to be doing to prepare yourself for Warlords? You know, are you going to start playing the game now on Tuesday once it comes out again? Get back into the swing of things?
Yes. My main is Druid, and there's been tons of changes for Druids, and so I'm gonna try to figure out and finalize which spec I really want to stick with, Balance or Feral.
All right. Yeah, I myself, I'm really just going to be hopping around all of my main classes just so I can really see what spells were removed, if anything was added, really how it's all going to be different to play. Is this even viable anymore? Come on, Blizzard. Usually that comes out of my mouth in a new pre-patch.
Come on!
You nerfed my class! Or in the case of my Death Knight, yeah, you buffed my class again.
Death Knights are never going to get buffed, ever. They're always going to be bottom of the chain.
What about you, Tom? What are you going to do to prepare yourself?
Very similar. I always thought I'd check out some characters that I haven't played before, particular classes like my Warrior and Death Knight, but saying that, I think I'm going to be so intrigued as to how different my main characters are, mages, warlocks. I might see how my paladin works. I've got my paladin up to 90 with the intention of being a tank, and I hated it, absolutely hated it. But saying that, I might jump in just to see how the DPS specs have changed and see if there's anything good going there. But no, it's very much just trying out new things like you guys.
Yeah, one of the things I'm most interested in trying out is all my healer classes, just to really get a feel for the new way that healing's going to work. You know, I don't have a rotation anymore, so that'll be interesting.
Same button again and again.
Yeah.
You're only a few buttons away from being a mage.
Apparently, Fury Warriors are the new mage in Warlords.
Yes.
3-button rotation.
What is that? Which rotation? I haven't seen it.
I have not played a Fury Warrior, so I can't really...
Just Whirlwind again and again.
Bladestorm.
That'd be great. Do you think it's going to be a sort of troublesome time going ahead? I mean, I know people are going to expect this, but things like LFR were not great to begin with. Now, nobody knows their characters, quite literally. So do you think not only in LFR, but also in higher tiers, in guilds progression and things like that, it's going to be a slightly turbulent period? Or do you think people will be able to bear with it?
Oh, I think it'll be a little bit rough at first, you know, people, especially for healers. Because from what I understand, the big change is if you try and play your healer like you played in Miss of Pandaria, you're going to be immediately. So that's going to be a big adjustment for people, but I think it's good that they're implementing all the changes and raid changes and everything now, so you can get used to it for Warlords. Because, you know, everybody's killed Garrosh at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately. But hey, I mean, it says something though that, you know, I think there's still a lot of classes that I don't understand, mainly because I think I've played every class, but not to a high end level. So I'd be interested as well into seeing how other classes work, because I might one day. I haven't used my boost yet because I haven't actually pre-ordered the game. I'm waiting for the hard copy. So it'd be interesting to see what the best class for me is, really. I do want a proper healing class because I've never done it. So obviously I'm going to be amazing at it, and I'll probably be a disc priest. It'd be great, easy. But basically, I think it's cool. I'm going to treat it like an audition. That's how I'm going to treat it. Go into LFR and just see which is the best.
Yeah.
Like Pokemon.
He's gonna have the song playing over and over and over while you test all the classes.
Exactly.
Gotta test them all. Warlords classes.
I like it. Let's make a full parody song.
We've got spare.
We know
2
the
hours.
title of this episode. Gotta test them all.
That was quick. We usually don't come up with the title of the episode till about 15, 20 minutes in. That was 5 in.
Yeah.
What can I say? We're good. We're good. We're on the ball today.
We're getting this down. We're done. Let's call it.
Yeah,
Show's over.
show's
We got a
over.
title.
Show's over.
That's all we're waiting for.
All right. Well, moving on from that, kind of big announcement of the week, Warlords of Draenor is introducing 5 new hunter pet families. For anybody who plays a hunter, this is pretty good news.
Yeah.
I'm a big, I actually only leveled my hunter in I leveled him in Warlords. No, Miss a Pandaria.
Already.
Wow, that is one pre-expansion if you've done it already.
Right. I've leveled him just very recently, but it's become a class that I really enjoy playing, especially for PvP. And so seeing these new pet families is pretty cool. And so I'll run these down pretty quickly. I'll bring the screen over to the page. We've got the Cleft Hoof exotic pet, as well as the Hydra, and the River Beast, the Rylic, this one's my personal favorite, and the Stag. All of these have new, different color variants, different types, all new abilities, types of things that they can do. Very cool for hunters. Very cool. What do you guys think?
The Hydra looks like a the creature Luke cuts open and sleeps in.
Tauntaun.
Yes. Looks like a tauntaun. Look at it.
I'll just bring this back on screen, everybody. Does this look like a tauntaun? I mean,
minus all the extra heads, but just the legs and shape of the body. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, oh, it's a tauntaun. Wait, that's the Hydra?
It has to walk around going.
And hunters get a special ability with it. Survive the night. You sacrifice your pet and you regen your health really fast.
You have to sleep inside of it.
That'd be horrible. This is the pet that's kept me alive through so much.
I would love to see that.
And
Hunters having to gut their own pets.
when you do the ability, you whip out a lightsaber. It's just.
No,
you know that's going to be a toy somewhere.
Problems there.
Yeah, I think they all look really cool, though. I mean, it's cool to see new pet families since they've had the same types of pets since. I don't know. It seems like it's been a while since they've introduced a new family.
I just now I'm gonna run around in my stag form as a druid and taunt them because they still can't tame me. But I usually have the riding lift, so they'll just be like, "Haha!"
Now, how amazing would that be if you could tame druids in stag form? So then the pet player would have to follow around hunters and be their pet.
Aww. Dang it! I tempted fate.
Oh dear. Unfortunately, I've got that Miley. Isn't that a Miley Cyrus song? Can't be tamed. That's just.
I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know, Tom.
Says a lot. Says a lot.
You're like, oh.
I don't know. Do you play a hunter at all, Tom? Or you at all interested by this news?
Yeah, we'll quickly move on from my little admission there. I played the hunter ages and ages ago, and this is sort of Burning Crusade era, maybe before that, at level 43, and then never went back. So, but saying that, I think hunters. It's going to sound really obvious, but hunters are unique because obviously you can have that pet dynamic, and it's something collectible that no one else can have. And I think anything that makes that collecting experience just bigger is always going to be good. I mean, even if you don't have, if you're like me and you don't have a max level hunter, it's great and really cool to sit in raids and see different people's pets. And that's one thing I've always found really cool. When someone brings out something and you've just never ever seen that before, and you're like, oh my god, how did you tame that? I've never seen that mob before.
That is what inspired me to be a hunter. I saw someone with the ghost bear, and I'm like, well, I want a ghost bear following me everywhere, so it looks like I'm leveling a hunter. Apparently, that is a very rare pet to get, and my first fly through Grizzly Hills on my hunter, I found it.
And now all the hunters hate you.
They do.
Yeah,
they do. But we've discussed this many episodes before. Tarly completes all the things, so this is how it is.
Yeah, and completes Warlords before it's released somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a hunter.
I actually know what the next expansion is, but I can't reveal it.
And already beat it.
I'm actually the lead designer at Blizzard. Just.
Well, aren't they
God
not
help
allowed
us.
to have their own podcast? I thought.
All right, moving on from Hunter Pets. Good news coming out of the beta for soloing old raid content. Some people over at Wowhead have managed to go through Firelands by themselves after Stat Squish and solo the entire raid. Now that is something that even now is kind of difficult to do for some classes. So that's kind of cool to see. After the Stat Squish, you'll be able to go in and solo even up to Cataclysm content.
The quote from Matthew Rossi is, "I just walked into Firelands on the PTR and in less than half an hour everything was dead." So, I mean, some people obviously have solo Firelands before, but this is like on my level of I can just walk in and spam,
Right.
the arcane explosion style approach to raiding.
Yeah, I've personally tried to go back and solo Firelands now, and it's kind of difficult. Without the stat squish and stuff. So I think that's cool. I don't know what that means for like heroic level difficulty things, but at least you can do it.
Yeah, that's true. Are there any raids that either of you? I mean, more in your case probably, Zul, because you mentioned obviously you haven't been sort of a end level raider much before. But is there any particular raids that you still haven't done that you would want to do?
Yeah, most of them.
Most of just everything.
So I've gone back to like a few of them here and there. Like I haven't really gone all the way through them, but I've gone in and just sort of ran around with my druid. Once I hit max level, I kind of went and did that. So like I ran through some of them up to like the first bosses or so and just mess around. But I'm probably gonna do that a lot in Warlords if they're saying that it's easier now with the stats changes and everything, the squish. I'm gonna go back and just run through those and check them out, have some fun. Probably give me something to do. I'll see how I can do with the pre-patch, and then I'm sure there'll still be stuff that'll be harder I won't have figured out. And so then once the actual X-Pack comes out and I hit 100 and I'm looking for stuff to do, I'll probably be doing that quite a bit this time around.
I'm hoping at level 100 you can go back and solo normal mode. Miss the Pandaria content. Why could I not think of our current? Yeah, maybe Siege might be difficult, but at least like the first tier or even Throne of Thunder, that'd be cool.
Yeah, we'll see.
Throne of Thunder, I think, would be a good baseline perhaps for that.
Mm.
I can't see them giving up Siege as quickly. Maybe at level 100. I guess if you've reached that like peak.
Dragon Soul right now, for example, end of the expansion right now, you can clear Dragon Soul normal mode with 2 people. So, I would expect it to be kind of the same thing then for Warlords.
Mm-hmm. I think anything where you've got perhaps some level of collectible in there.
Mm-hmm.
I know Deathwing drops a mount, if I'm right.
Yep.
In the Maelstrom, the final stage. So I think if there's anything where there's collectible, Blizzard should try and make that as accessible as possible. And also, I think when you get to LFR and it starts kicking off raids because you're too high level,
mm-hmm.
maybe that should be the belt. If you basically can't join a queue for it, then you should be able to solo it with 1 or 2 people.
Well, with 2 people, that's not soloing, is it, Tom?
By definition, no. you have me there, sir. You have me there. Touché. But no, fair enough. I think you should solo every instance with 7 people, and that'll be fine.
No,
yes.
I think every instance should be soloable with 10 or 25 people.
And that's why I don't work for Blizzard. I would be a terrible. Can you imagine that if I gave that as a press conference for Blizzard? Everyone's like, "You said these would be soloable." Yeah, they are soloable if you've got a group of 25. Easy.
Okay, moving on. No, new title for this. Tom can't count.
What's this? Like, can't count? I can't count.
Or you don't know the definition of solo. One of the two.
Oh, sorry, yeah. No,
Tom can't
Nothing-
solo alone.
I can't. Actually, I struggle with some of those Dragon Soul instances, but that's just because I'm rubbish.
Okay, moving on. This week, Blizzard released, I believe it's their final blog about garrisons in their Garrison Preview Part 3. Who are you calling your people? Now, this one goes into a more deeper dive into all of the collectible people. Followers is what they're called. That was the word I was thinking of. And I can pull that up on screen here. There's quite a few of them that you can get. And the one that surprised me the most, scroll down here, look at it. It's Leroy Jenkins, everybody. He is old, gray beard, but he is alive. And he will be helping you. So what did you guys think of this whole preview about your followers?
It's making me more and more excited for garrisons, as if I wasn't already.
Right.
I really just love the new models and how they're being applied now. The new models aren't anything new, but just seeing followers who actually look amazing. If these were old style character models, I think I'd be really bored of it because we're used to seeing NPCs around. These characters just look amazing, genuinely look amazing,
Except
and you
for
just
the
go through the
Blood
list.
Elf.
Yeah, actually, you're right there.
But
That's definitely running on a Mac.
something I like about it though is, each one of these followers is like a piece of the storyline that you're experiencing while you're leveling through, or just playing through the content. They all have some role or another, and there's so many of them that I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. And you can have, they revealed here 20 active followers, and if you have a barracks, up to 25. Tier 3 barracks, that is.
That's insane.
That's going to be a lot to
20.
maintain. But Leroy, you're definitely going to be leading my raids, that's for sure.
And they come in different qualities. There's uncommon, rare, and epic followers.
Leroy's going to be there at the epic, I reckon.
Now, for some people who didn't necessarily participate in pet battles, going out and collecting all the different things, I think this could really be the thing for them. It's a whole nother type of thing that you're going to be spending time collecting, wanting to get, wanting to catch them all of the followers. I can say personally, I'm going to spend a lot of time trying to collect all the followers.
Yeah, me too. This is definitely something I'm interested in collecting. Being such a big fan of games that have followers and companions, like BioWare's games, this is awesome.
Yeah, I have always thought Blizzard is a company that will look at other games' ideas and do them better. And this is just another example of that from, I would believe, the Star Wars MMO. When you had your
I
followers.
loved the followers in that game. Like, seriously, that's probably my favorite thing about the whole game is the fact that you had followers.
Yeah.
And so now that Blizzard's doing it, I'm just like, yes.
All right, so you could have, 3 followers in Star Wars? Let's up that to, 20 active ones. And it's just a great system. You have, all right, 5 of you're going to be doing this raid. You 5 are going to be mining some ore for me, and so on and so forth. I think it's...
And you get to stand there and look pretty.
Yeah, you're my bodyguard. Follow me.
You might not
Just
want
sound like
Leroy
it's-
as your bodyguard. He'll pull
No.
everything.
Someone did mention in the comments that if you have Leroy joining you in a raid, then it should be mandatory that every half an hour you're just mobbed by whelps.
Now, I have to mention the fact that having a follow or having a bodyguard, do you think this is going to make questing a bit easier? I remember several times in Dread Wastes, you'd be going through and just die and die and die. Do you think this would help alleviate that?
Probably. I guess, unless they're, balancing around having a follower with you.
That's true.
If they're accounting for it, my question is that, one, does this have any aspect on world PvP? If you're in a contested zone And do the followers come into that potentially if you just run into someone who you can attack, or does that not apply? Maybe I'm missing that. But failing that, are these either or followers as well? Because the thing is, talking about a different franchise, one of the things that really my love-hate relationship was dictated by this with Mass Effect was that some characters you could choose, but it meant you couldn't choose others. And as a result, you kind of constantly felt, I always felt the loss of story as opposed to what I was gaining. So that's my worry going into this. Are these characters who, if I get one, I can't have the other? So I literally have to play through another. Or I will get there, but you know what I'm trying to say is I don't want to feel like one character's ever had half the story.
Well, that's the other great thing about it is you can have all of the followers, not necessarily active, but you have access to all of them if you collect them all.
Oh, fair enough. It's just my time.
I guess from you have a point there about Mass Effect, though. You could only have a certain amount with you, and you felt like you were leaving the other ones out, missing out on their dialogue or their part of the story. So I wonder how that's going to play in. How big of a role in the storyline your followers are also going to have, too.
But I guess actually that has a point as well. With Mass Effect, I always brought the same people on missions because I liked them more.
Yep.
Are we going to have the same thing? Are we going to have favourites and we're like the rest of you can mine and
There
clean
will be.
the rooms?
People will have their favorites for sure.
Oh, yeah. You know, and I recently moved my hunter from the Horde over to the Alliance, mainly because I've really been looking into the Alliance side of Warlords of Draenor, and it seems like it's going to be drastically different, its own storyline, and I'm like, well, I don't want to miss half of the story arc for Warlords of Draenor, so that'll be interesting too, so I can get literally every follower now. I'll have that opportunity.
That's good.
It's a good way to have a mixed side there.
Just wondering who's going to be benched. Just thinking of who I'm going to
Well,
eliminate.
if Leroy keeps pulling things, I will bench him immediately.
You won't bench Leroy. You won't. There's no way.
So I'm reading through the the blog post about all followers and like how you gain reputation with your followers. Specifically, the ones that can have the bodyguard trait so they can follow you around. And they're one of their traits as you get reputation with them is that they are your wingman, and then they rep up to personal wingman, and they get a special perk once they become your.
Uh-oh. All right, we're back up. Sorry, everybody. Blame Charter, the amazing internet service provider in the Northwest. Back up to
bless.
where we were.
You were talking about the wingmen.
Wingmen.
So you better start again.
So do they?
Yeah.
Do they? If you walk into an inn, do they walk up to the females and say, "Hey, have you met Zool?"
I sure hope so. Have you met Zool? Have you met Tarly? Have you met Fritza?
I would find this very entertaining.
They do get special perks once you hit that reputation level with them. And it says a couple of them in the blog posts, such as portable repair kit or summoning another player to your position, stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Just another cool thing you can do with followers.
Summoning another player to your position. That sounds like a pickup. That's
That
sort of thing.
is like the top tier. Have you met? I mean, they not only do that, they can summon them from another part of the world to give that line.
Have you met Tarly? Hey.
What? Why am I here? What happened?
And you immediately enter tipsy stage.
You have a glass of scotch in your hand, and you're in a suit.
Just all of a sudden.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about. WoW's a very sociable game.
Yes, welcome to How I Met Your Warcraft.
Someone's probably made that already.
All right. Well, yeah. I've said this probably every week at this point, but Garrisons just keep looking better and better, and probably one of the biggest things I'm excited for Warlords of Draenor. I want him to come with a pre-patch. I want to make an early Garrison just to.
And there is still a part 4 coming in the Garrison blocks.
Part 4.
Yes. It says we'll take a stroll through a fully built and operational Garrison.
Yes.
Touching on the daily and weekly steps you might take as you bring the pain to your enemies on Draenor and seek out find rewards for yourself.
So the test of time to see if Warlords will be better than Destiny or not. Moving on, any last pointers that anybody would like to make on Garrisons?
Other than, I'm really pleased by how Blizzard's handled the whole Garrisons thing. If they could do this with not every feature, but if they are going ahead, this level of explanation is perfect. Just saying. I've loved just hearing about this in this way. There's not a single thing that I'm not excited about Garrisons.
Right.
To be honest.
All right. So moving on to another topic. Some last-minute ideas for you to spend your Justice points, because if you have not noticed, Justice points are not going to be a thing anymore. So neither is Valor. Come Tuesday. So you have a couple days to spend all those Justice points before they get turned into like 30 silver or whatever the terrible conversion rate is going to be.
47 silver per point.
Oh, gross. That is like similar to taking a trip to the UK though, and then all your money just goes where to go.
we're not that bad.
Actually, I think it might be the other way around. I don't actually remember what that conversion is, but anyway,
you're getting about 1,880 gold if you're fully capped.
I guess that's
on Justice, so it's not bad.
So you can just hold off and get about 1.5k gold, or 1.8k, excuse me, or you can go and spend it on some things like the Reigns of the Woolly Mammoth out in Dalaran. If you do not have that yet, you should. But does that mean the mount is going away, or is it going to be converted to a gold price like all the other mounts there?
Probably going to get switched to a gold price.
It says that it's going to. It costs currently 2,175 Justice points, and it's going to be a little over 1,000 gold after it converts. Oh no, sorry, that's currently.
It's
once 6.0 hits
8,000 gold.
8,000 gold.
So if you do not have that mammoth, grind out some dungeons, get your Justice, get the mammoth, free mount to add to your mount collection. Right there, instead of spending 8,000. And if you're one like me, trying to get to 150 mounts, this would be a step you would want to take immediately.
Wow, that's incredible. That's like 24,000 Justice points equivalent.
Yeah, what?
That's insane.
Come on, Blizzard. What are you doing? This is a Wrath mount, for Pete's sake.
Saying that, it's an interesting notion on sort of the economics of WoW. Not to make it heavy, but there's so much gold bashing about now. Mm-hmm. We've talked on another show about the Alliance bike and how much that could potentially cost, and that's in the 6 digits sort of number.
Oh well,
so
the inflation is going to be ridiculous in Warlords of Draenor. I think that's already been made apparent.
Yeah.
The crisis is coming. The crisis is coming.
I mean, it's mainly just because there's going to be so many ways to make gold in Warlords of Draenor. Everything's going to cost like, tens to 20,000s of gold, just for anything that's worth anything.
And that's something I'm thinking about is gold something that they could have squished as well, or is that in a way going a bit too far? And when I say going a bit too far, I mean, is it fair that your stats might change, but you wake up one day and instead of 50,000 gold, you've got 1,500 gold, and Blizzard says, "Oh, don't worry, it'll buy you the same stuff." I think currency is a different matter almost, it seems.
Yeah, I don't think it could work that way just due to the auction house and the way that WoW is an actual working economy. That you can't just decrease the value of gold like that without major consequences.
Another reason I don't work for Blizzard. I just want to flick a switch and just take zeros off people's gold. 8,000 gold, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane.
I mean, and there's several other things like the worm, like mounts from the Worm-Rusted Court or Sons of Hodor.
Hold on.
Sorry, wrong fantasy storyline there. Sons of
that needs to be
Hodir.
a guild, the Sons of Hodor.
Kirin Tor, Argent Crusade, Knights of the Emon Blade, all of these have Justice Point mounts. So you should definitely do that. Or, you could grind out the Justice Points and get those heirlooms before they get converted to a gold price. Or, what else? There's that Justice gear that you can get in Mists of Pandaria that's like 470 high level. No point really in doing that, but it's something. Or, again, if you're capped, you might as well just let the gold happen if you don't want to get any of the mounts, or you already have them all.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got everything, either way, there's no reason, I guess, not to cap. It takes, what, I think it's just an hour, or maybe an hour and a half if you've got a good group.
A couple dungeons, yeah. I mean, a few, yes.
How much justice have we all got? Because actually, I'm thinking I've probably got about 200 right now.
I haven't checked my justice.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I'm gonna be penniless at the end of
Just
this.
let me
Everyone's gonna
log
have
into
thousands.
the game real quick.
Everyone's gonna have tens of thousands of gold, and I'm just gonna be poor.
Don't worry, me too.
Oh, me as well. I have found it hard to maintain 300 gold on one character at a time. I have been very poor for a while. All right.
Maybe that's the real story. Maybe all this talk about thousands of gold floating around, maybe it's all a lie. Maybe we're all just penniless and we're too afraid to mention it.
Right, yeah, the economy is actually tanking in World of Warcraft right now. We need a bailout, Blizzard.
Well, there's someone, who is it? There's someone I follow on Twitter, and she always posts, like, after she sells a bunch of stuff on the auction house. And it's like, auction house earnings for the day, like, and it's 10,000 something gold, like, every time. Just sold all it. I'm just like, who are you? How are you doing this?
I think I've got her on the Twitter as well.
I need to learn.
Yeah, I think we should just get back on the profession horse and start actually working, like, farming stuff all day. But I think that'll be easier.
Professions bore me so much.
Yes, Warlords will have a better solution for that with, garrisons.
Yes. That might actually make it less boring to me, too, because not only can I just use them for professions, but if I actually am smart and like choose a profession that I want to work on personally, it'll make me be able to work on it faster. So maybe I'll finally start doing that too.
Maybe there will just be gold for everybody in Warlords of Draenor.
Just raining from the sky.
Yes.
We've talked about this magical wonderland, and nah.
We're all gonna be just as poor, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're going to be horrendously poor with no friends, no minions to run around. My garrison's going to be derelict. I'll be renting it out just to keep the rent going.
Okay. Next topic, and unless anybody has any more last final justice point ideas they want to throw out there. Nope. Anybody?
No.
Cool. One other thing. You can still get some heirloom gear, or not heirloom, I can't think of words today, but old gear from past tiers. Transmog. Yes, you can get old tier gear if you're interested in that. You can still get that with justice points.
That's a good point, yeah. So buy the old gear with justice points and then use that for the transmog, yeah.
That's also a possibility. Or sell that gear that you buy for gold, which is pointless. So don't do that. All right, moving on. Blizzard has released the BlizzCon 2014 map and schedule, and there is something that is puzzling almost everybody who has looked at this schedule. And I will bring that up here in a moment once I actually get to BlizzCon.com. But
they shut the website down now. Like, don't let him in. Don't let him in.
So we'll get to the schedule here. We'll look at Fridays. Friday is where the big mystery is. See, we see here, it's pretty standard, at 11 a.m. is the opening ceremony. Now, that goes till 11:45. Now, pretty standard, we've got the Hearthstone, StarCraft, and World of Warcraft tournaments going on. but usually there's another panel of something happening. But from 11 to 2:15, there is not a panel scheduled. What does this mean?
What's going on?
Secret announcement, Blizzard? Or nothing at all? What if it is
Or do you all just want a really long lunch break?
Or everybody just wants to watch the beginning of the tournaments? Now, it may be just me, but I'd say the end of the tournaments are better to watch than the beginning. So, I don't know. Do you guys have any guesses of what could be in this 2-hour gap of unannounced stuff here?
Just to clarify, this could be any franchise, couldn't it?
Any franchise. What if... this is like the biggest tinfoil hat in the world theory right here, but Titan isn't really canceled. It's a lie. A distraction.
We were just kidding. What? Why would you do that?
I think the problem is a lot of people, when they said they cancelled Titan, the general consensus was thank God. So to then go back and go, actually, we were kidding.
Okay, so I found an image of last year's BlizzCon schedule. And right after the opening ceremony last year on the main stage
was the Warcraft
is when they had the World of Warcraft What's Next, which obviously they have the expansion coming out the next week, so that's kind of what's next for World of Warcraft.
Right. The What's Next panel exists for every other one of their franchises except for WoW this year.
Wow. Interesting. Will they already announce the next expansion?
You know, for the last couple months I've been saying they have. But now when I think about it, I don't think that'd be a good idea for them to do.
No.
It would really just take away Warlords' thunder if they just announce a whole new expansion right here.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. I don't think, unless I'm horrendously mistaken, there has been a release after a BlizzCon yet. No. Has everything been before BlizzCon?
No, Cataclysm.
Oh, Cataclysm, sorry. Yeah, but Cataclysm, they worded that in a way where they were saying this is what's happening and we're going into this. So the only response that they could have, they'd, like you say, they'd have to kind of say we're going into this, and then after that, and I think that kind of puts an end bookmark on the expansion. If you reveal the next expansion, it kind of reveals more than you're probably convenient to tell.
I think the most they could do as far as what's next for WoW is say a name. That's it. It would just be silly of them to start revealing new features, new content, stuff like that before we've even played the next expansion. So I think a name is as far as they should go if they're going to say anything about the next expansion.
For 2 and 3/4 or 2 and a bit hours. That'd be a heck of a long name.
Oh. No,
Let's have a look.
I mean, I know there's going to be the Q&A, that's scheduled. Classes, item changes, and more stuff like that. All of those presentations for WoW, and I assume they're going to talk a lot about, the patches for Warlords of Draenor. What's coming then? I think we'll hear a lot about the final raid, stuff like that. Whether or not it really is going to be a 2-tiered expansion, but I think next BlizzCon, BlizzCon 2015, is when we will have the reveal. And then a very soon after launch of the next expansion.
Reveal it, and it launches the next week.
I think they could do, what they wanted to do with Warlords was announce it at BlizzCon and then release it by the next spring. And I could definitely actually see that happen with the next expansion.
Yeah.
I think so too. It's interesting, though. I mean, just looking at Friday's agenda, the things that are happening while this big sort of blur of arena championship competitions is happening. We have the World of Warcraft movie presentation coinciding with the Diablo 3 What's Next. So that'd be the next expansion. Heroes of the Storm kicks off. Sorry.
As an attendee of BlizzCon, that's tearing me right there because I want to know what's next for Diablo 3 and I want to see the live reveal of the Warcraft trailer.
You cannot have both. You have to choose between Warcraft movie or Diablo 3. What's next? You've got the Heroes of the Storm overview. Bear in mind, Alpha's just been re-released. next to the Hearthstone Fireside chats. I I think that's fair
Surprise!
enough. Fairly
More
balanced.
cards are coming.
This is the other thing. Between what's that, 445 and 545, you've got the World of Warcraft items, class changes, and more. Something that has been relatively covered well up until now, coinciding exactly with the StarCraft 2. What's next?
See, like in my opinion, the StarCraft thing is going to be what I'm going to be attending because
Exactly.
Legacy of the
It'll be
Void.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's gonna be.
Whereas we already know what's coming with Warlords of Draenor.
Watch
Exactly.
it be
What more
some
can they tell you?
huge like thing no one was expecting in that one.
And I don't remember if this happened quite like this last year, but the tournaments, the Heroes of the Storm, Hearthstone, and StarCraft are all taking place at the same time and beyond the talent contests. Like it almost means like they're trying to split up their viewers here to not all go to the contests.
It's hard. It's really sort of weirdly laid out because, particularly, we talked last week about how Blizzard's really trying to push out esports.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, they're going to conflict with some things because they want these esports happening throughout the entire event so that they can stream it to people who aren't there.
Mm-hmm.
But they are kind of shooting themselves in the foot to sell their arm. It's really interesting, I guess, to see how they manage to do it.
I'm just very happy that the WoW Arena Grand Final is finished before the Grand Final of StarCraft. Like, unlike last year where they were going on at the exact same time, I wanted to watch both, and that was, obviously difficult. So at least they've managed to divide that up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Looking at Saturday as well, I don't know, does it seem relatively straightforward? There's a lot of, it's just a mix really. There's nothing major. I don't see any major releases or announcements.
There's the live raid, which Ian Isakosis talked about today actually on another podcast. He was talking about that they are going to be doing Heimal, the same two teams last year. A winter. Oh, what are they?
Isn't it Method and
Midwinter and Method? Yes.
Yeah.
Those two are going to be doing Heimal on Heroic, so that'll be cool. Cool to see that new content.
Fantastic.
But yeah, I mean it's pretty straightforward. BlizzCon, pretty similar to last year, minus a big thing, WoW thing, that doesn't exist. But I think that's okay. And then we have yet to hear who the closing act is going to be. People are guessing Metallica or Weird Al.
Weird Al would be so awesome.
Yeah.
I am crossing my fingers for Weird Al.
I'm a huge Weird Al fan.
If he could modify some of his songs to, be World of Warcraft-ish or something, I would be very happy.
He'd make an absolute killing. He'd make so much money out of it.
Yeah. With his new album out and everything, I think he'd be a good choice. A little bit better than their choice last year. I did not stick around actually for the closing ceremonies last year.
Who was it? It was that bad you mentally blocked it from your mind.
It was Jake, do you remember who it was?
Wasn't it Blink-182?
Yes, it was Blink-182.
Oh, of course it was.
Of course it was.
No, I remember now. I remember hearing that.
You're like, wait, are they still relevant? No.
Blizzard thought
See, Weird Al will always be relevant.
Exactly. And that is why Weird Al should play BlizzCon. But I'm sure
But
we'll find out very
he
soon.
just had an album come out, and it was his first album to ever top the charts at #1. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd definitely be happy about that. And I can't remember what the time frame was last year when we found out that it was going to be Blink-182. But it should be pretty soon here. We'll be hearing who the closing band is.
Yeah.
But one thing I'd like to show for everybody is the layout. The map this year is a little bit different. I mean, it's pretty similar in you have all the stages as normal, but they've added a whole new arena for StarCraft. And it's a circular looking, I think there's going to be stands all the way around this circle here with seating in the middle, like very much more esports-like arena.
Mm-hmm.
This excites me. And they're actually selling separate tickets just for the grand final of StarCraft as well, so you can like go in through that door, and you know, if you don't have a BlizzCon badge, you can't leave that arena. But that's cool. I mean, they're really pushing this StarCraft arena to be really big in the esports scene.
That's a lot of space. So you can see the main stage, presumably how the players will sit as normal, and some square blocks of seating. But that's a massive amount of room. I like you say, that could be massive spectator area, which I presume it must be.
And you know, and that's partially also probably because they added a whole new area for the Heroes of the Storm tournament as well. So they really want that to be a big thing this year, assumably because they're going to be pushing that public beta access post Warlords or post BlizzCon. I mean,
I like how Gramash is on the floor plan.
yes.
Entrance Gramash. That's awesome.
I'm just going to accidentally run into him like I accidentally ran into Illidan last year.
Oh crap! Look who it is.
Oh! I'm very excited. We're like roughly three and a half weeks away from BlizzCon, so we're getting there. Everybody,
So jealous.
Again, Geeks of Azeroth is where you're gonna want to tune in for all of your BlizzCon coverage, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to
It's you, Tali. It's basically you.
Who else is going?
Oh,
I believe
James.
James from
Yeah.
Geeks as well. Will
James.
Be
Yeah.
there. I will have to
He'll be there.
talk with this fellow gentleman while he's there.
I think as well, next week, we're going to talk about the events, the parties, and some of the events happening sort of external to Blizzard's control.
Yeah.
I realise that sounds a bit malicious now, as if there's going to be a riot, but
It is out of their control.
it's out of their control. But yeah, so next week we'll talk about that. So tune in for that. When the podcast will be doing it. The places like WoW Insider will be doing it. So we'll just cover those briefly. So if you are going to BlizzCon, you can check it out.
You'll
you
know
can go
exactly
to
where
those
to
parties.
go. All right. So, any other things on BlizzCon before we move on, forward and onward?
It's going to be amazing watching it.
Try to go next year so much. So
We'll make a pact. We'll say we'll all try to get there next year.
yeah,
I can make that.
I just had a job change that will slowly be resulting in me making more and more over the following months. So it should be easier for me financially next year. Whereas this year, I couldn't make it work that way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you have not experienced BlizzCon in person, I watched it the year before on the virtual ticket, and I thought that was cool. But being there in person with all 15,000 people who all play Blizzard games, it's an experience. Definitely recommend everybody.
And if we all go, we can all chip in on a room or something like that.
Live coverage.
Heck
all
yeah.
3 of us. It'd be awesome.
Let's do it next year.
It's planned. All right. Moving on from BlizzCon.
Yeah, that rhymed.
We have on Joystick. We have a guide to the new mounts in Warlords of Draenor, and there are quite a few of them, as usual. But I really like the first one here. It looks like a giant hippo with rocks growing out of its back.
It's the river beast, which the hunters can also tame.
Yes, indeed. But I don't know. I think it's an interesting creature. This is all going along with the fact that you can get a stable and go out and train your new mounts. I think that's some of the exclusivity.
There's also some certain rares have guaranteed mount drops, which is really cool.
And then you see some of these mounts, like the Mosshide River Wallow for 50k plus 5k of this new material that is in the game. So there's a lot of new mounts. I'm scrolling through this list here. As you can see on the show, there are a lot of new mounts. I think this is, at least at launch of an expansion, this is the most new mounts we've ever seen.
And there's lots of different ways to get them. You have the guaranteed drops from rare spawns. You have lots of different garrison mounts. You have the ones for having the stables, which you can go out and train. You have ones for getting a gold on the garrison invasions that can happen.
Yeah.
If you have the trading post, fishing shack. And then, of course, reputation mounts as always.
Then there's the 200 mount achievement mount. That is the green Fellfire Hawk. This looks awesome. I want it. I have to get 200 mounts. I have to. Oh no,
stack?
that's 250. Oh my god. Blizzard.
Only another, what, 200 to go?
No big.
I'm at like 110 right now. I'm nowhere close to getting that mount.
Yeah.
Good luck, buddy. Good luck.
But with all the mounts coming in Warlords, it might be a little bit easier.
I will say one thing, going back to what Zul said about the 100% drops. Those are a bunch of rare mobs. You remember how Time Lost Proto Drakes and is it AAMS, how they operated? And they're awful. I've tried forever to get hold of them. You basically sit around waiting for this rare mob to spawn once every 9 hours, and it's basically first one who gets it gets it. That's changing. Now you're guaranteed the drop like some of these rare mobs do, but if you participate in the kill, you'll also get the mount. So it's not a first come first served, which is
It's not
amazing.
even by faction. It's both factions can be attacking it and everybody gets it.
I'm seeing a lot more of that in Warlords of Draenor. A lot less mob tagging. It still exists for minor ones, like you kill 10 of these or whatever, those kind of quests. Mobs, you still have to get those kills yourself, but for rare spawns, stuff like that, there's a lot less mob tagging. Thank you, Blizzard. Thank you.
Yes.
That has been something that's been plaguing the game for far too long, I think.
But yeah, no, they all look good. Yeah. I'm really excited. There's one at the bottom of the list, and it's called, what is it called? Challengers War Yeti. I need to get that. Whatever it is, if I can have my new characters riding a War Yeti. It has a little button that turns people into snowmen. That's what I want.
And I love seeing the Horde bike. You know, that thing just looks great. Here's a picture of it in game. With a goblin
you had to bring that up. Had to bring that up, didn't you, Hordes?
It's such a good looking mount. I have to say, it looks a lot better, in my opinion, than the in-person bike.
That's because you get it for free. Cheapskates.
Which, by the way, they will also be on display at BlizzCon, which is awesome. You'll be able to actually go see the bikes.
That is pretty cool that they're going to have those there.
But yeah, I mean, I'm quite excited by all the new mounts coming in game. It's quite a lot, quite a big number. I'm also excited for the Corehound mount coming from the anniversary stuff. I've always wanted to ride a Corehound, but I feel like that would be painful on the legs.
Yes, I can imagine you'd need to get that checked out if you got a burning sensation around there.
Okay. Any other things you guys want to touch on about mounts before we move on?
It's a long list of things I'll never get. That's all it is.
Hey, there's some of those that are guaranteed.
Yeah, guaranteed, Tom. Guaranteed.
That I won't get. It will just say no. Something will go wrong.
Nope.
All right, moving on to our discussion topic of the week. We would like to discuss what are your favorite villains from World of Warcraft. And Tom, you can explain this discussion a little bit.
I can. Right. Basically, what I'm going to go to, there was a video released by, loading up now, by Doron's Movies. Basically spelled how it is, Dorons, and then Movies. And anyways, he made a top 5 villains in World of Warcraft. Now, I won't go through the video itself, but anyways, he lists his top 5 villains, going from 5 to 1, as Kel'Thuzad, Arthas, Gul'dan, Deathwing, and Sargeras. So I am posing a question to us as to what our favourite villains are from WoW, ever, without mentioning a future one. Oh, I guess we could maybe, you're allowed to mention one future one to set a rule. But generally, well, what are your favourite villains?
Who we start?
I'm
We'll go to
personally
Either.
a big fan of Deathwing. I just
Mhm.
like the idea of, someone they were the guardian of the Earth, and they kind of lost it, like big time lost it. I mean, a lot of people have issues with Cataclysm and, the fight and everything, and that it wasn't handled well. But aside from all that, just the story of Deathwing, I like a lot.
Mm.
He's a very
Oh,
interesting
definitely.
character. I think my favorite, and I believe I mentioned this before, but my favorite is definitely the Lich King. Warcraft 3 was the first Warcraft that I really got into the lore and following Arthas' storyline to all the way to his corruption and becoming the Lich King. That's my favorite Blizzard story arc, and so he's my favorite villain. I have his runes tattooed on my wrist, so I'm a pretty big Arthas fan.
Mm.
What about you, Tom?
I'm just thinking, because I mean, I automatically. It's going to sound a bit cheesy with my one thrown in as well, but I've really loved Illidan, and I don't really want to say an answer that's another end boss of an expansion, really, but it's true. I really really liked Illidan, but I guess to take him aside, I mean, the reason I loved him was because of his story. I think Illidan, Arthas, and Deathwing. The great thing about their stories is they're bad guys, but there's sort of understanding as to why they're bad guys. Deathwing went nuts, Arthas went nuts, Illidan went nuts, but yeah, but nevertheless, they had the justification as to why they went off the rails. But I guess to choose another boss, I have always. It's not really a boss. I've always had a soft spot for Hogger. He's not a boss, but
Yeah.
I think when you those nostalgic mobs like Hogger, Onyx is probably the answer I'm going for, mainly because there was a good story there, kind of pales in comparison to what came after, but still, I just loved everything about it, and also the encounter was so. It, you look back on it, and yeah, it was incredibly simple, but it was fun. It was incredibly dynamic for its time. How you had the three different stages, but yeah, I loved Onyxia, absolutely loved it. But Hogger needs to come back, like Mecha. We need like a robot Hogger to come back,
Mecha Hogger.
recreated by the Iron Horde.
I would be totally okay with that. They're like, wait, how did he even get to the portal with us? What?
And there were only gnolls everywhere. But they did that for a BlizzCon, didn't they? They brought they had the live raid, and at the end there was
they just threw
super,
everybody.
there's a super
Everyone.
Hogger that just obliterated everyone.
I mean, I like Ragnaros too, as far as like villains go. I thought he was a really cool, just the fire elemental lord. Like he's pretty cool. Fighting him twice with legs was cool. As far as future villains, I like Bolvar. Now everybody's like, well, Bolvar, I can see him being a future villain. Wrath of the Lich King
Yeah.
2.
They just straight up call it that. World of Warcraft, Wrath of the Lich King 2.
Is that what we've got to now? Is that they just won't come up with new expansions? They'll just do a 2 of each one. So it'll be the Burning Crusade 2.
Well, Warlords is a rehash. It's Burning Crusade 2. Come on.
It might be known as that.
Or is it Warcraft 1 and 2 2?
Rehash.
Oh God. Maybe though. I guess that's another question very quickly. What future bosses could we imagine post Warlords? So
I mean, the
Sonny, you
Burning
mentioned
Crusade
Bolvar.
at some point,
Sargeras.
obviously.
Sargeras.
Yeah.
Sargeras
He's
coming back.
he's the ultimate bad guy. Sargeras. Like we fought off Kill Jaden, and that was like a feat in itself to kill that guy. But Sargeras is supposed to be unkillable by our race, so if anything's going to be a final boss of World of Warcraft, I could see it being Sargeras.
I would. See, I'll move away from Illidan because there's a load of rumors that he isn't dead, and there's some great videos on YouTube, theories as to why he's not dead. But I would love to see Kael'thas come back, but I think he's dead, isn't he? We killed him a second time in Magister's Terrace.
Super dead.
But you know, I wonder, can we undead him and bring him back and just because he was great that he just went on his own little tangent and had his own little objectives and that. But I feel like it's time for him to come back and start messing with things again. But I don't know how.
Could you guys see another current good guy turn bad guy like we saw happen with Garrosh? Like, I can totally envision after reading the most recent book and stuff, Sylvanas going off a deep end.
Yeah.
Like Sylvanas and Varisa, and they'll be like
yes, they're both pretty angry.
Yeah.
What about an Alliance character instead of Horde?
Right. Jaina could still go off some deep end here.
I'd rather have her go back to being good, though.
Something tells me Anduin could just, I hate everybody.
Ooh. Event no. Anduin for the greater good type of villain. I'm doing this because it'll help everybody. It's pretty messed up what you're doing, though. But it's for the greater
like him and
good.
Rathian just come up with this plan and because they're like
cool.
best friends.
What if Rathian slowly turns Anduin until they are like co-villains? That'd be cool.
We should start wearing tinfoil hats every time we do our discussion topic on the show because we always get to like outlandish ideas.
Yeah, we do. We'll just discussion time.
But I mean, saying that on a serious note, I can totally see where you're coming from, Sil, because at the end stages of the legendary quest, there were those hints that Rathian was going so far in search of his power, and Anduin was like, "You're nuts. I'd never do that sort of thing." And you just sit there and think, "Would you though? Would you?" Because I think Anduin's a character who realizes he's got to sometimes break the rules, as he does in War Crimes. Without giving it away, he kind of breaks the rules in War Crimes almost.
Right.
And he turns away from it. So, yeah, no, I'd like to see that.
And yeah, in War Crimes, when Rathian does disappear off to, I believe he goes to Draenor. He doesn't actually say where he's going, and he leaves Anduin kind of on the floor, slightly injured. Like Anduin isn't like against him at this point. He's just kind of questioning him. So they haven't really parted ways per se. So this could be potential boss material. Blizzard, listen to us because we know you do.
If they do it, they need to let it unfold over a very long time, though. It needs to be something slow. It can't just be like, go, and here it is.
Yep.
Like, we need to see more development between them in this expansion and the next. And the next. Just let it really develop over
the next
few expansions.
10 years of Warcraft.
Yes. And then, boom.
That would just be Deathwing too, though, wouldn't it? Once Anduin or Rathian's all grown up.
That's true. And Anduin goes Shadow Spec.
Once we're all level 200.
With 100 Path of the Titan levels.
All right. Any more points on villains before we move on?
We totally should do the story. We need to work for Blizzard on the story.
I think so. Blizzard, I mean, why have you not hired all three of us yet? Come on.
I'm waiting.
We're obviously excellent candidates.
Anduin and Rathian managed to manipulate Bolvar, who comes riding on Deathwing into Stormwind.
Mecha Deathwing.
Yeah, Mecha Deathwing. Because he's actually trying to kill Mecha Hogger, who's come back through the stockades.
And then Diablo bursts through the center of the city
with Kerrigan.
And suddenly all the Blizzard franchises just whirl around, and then Heroes of the Storm is the only thing that's left.
That's it.
That's how every franchise is. It's all just Heroes of the Storm.
Maybe they should hire us. Because we just destroyed all their franchises.
That story arc deserves an applause there, Tom.
And then it finishes off with Mike Warheim running in and going, And that was Titan.
Wow.
Oh. Okay. Moving on to our other weekly segment, Lorelords of Draenor. We promised you content this week, and we lied. We'll move on to it next week.
Yeah.
Just kidding. We have Mr. Blackhand to talk about, and we briefly mentioned him last week that we were going to talk about him this week, and then lo and behold, a brand new comic comes out about Blackhand. So we know Blizzard listens to our show.
Yeah, he gets a page on the Characters of Warcraft thing.
Mm-hmm.
All sorts of good stuff.
He is everywhere, and for a short little comic, this is very detailed. I love the art that has gone into this comic here. As you can see, scroll down. I'm not going to stop to spoil anything, just let you see all the artwork. It's a nicely drawn out comic book. Definitely recommend taking a look at that. But what do you guys
It's
think?
very much... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, what do you guys think about Blackhand? Is he a character that you have followed much at all?
I've known a little bit about him, but he hasn't been one of my favorites like some of the others we've covered.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you didn't know, Blackhand, he kind of has a big part in the Blackrock Foundry. He is the guy who is going to be supplying our enemies with all of their armor and their machines and everything that fuels this Iron Horde comes from his foundry. He is even part of making the Doomhammer, if I'm right about that.
Well, now he is,
Now
yeah.
he is,
I don't think in this alternate world he is.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no, I'm getting song references. When you started saying he's making all the armor, I just got Daft Punk's Bigger, Harder, Stronger in my head. That'd be a great little soundtrack to Raiden.
It's his theme song.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
That's the music that plays as Blackhand comes in. They're gonna all the raid bosses will now have professional wrestling style entrances with theme songs.
No, it'll be like Shadows of Hodor every time you meet. Shadows of... Wow. I've been saying Shadows of Hodor to my friends so much.
Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
You got to think about
No,
Hodor.
I just pictured the same thing where whenever one of the chieftains show up and it just slows down and shows their face. Yeah.
Blackhand.
I killed you once before.
Yeah. He's an interesting boss. Like we also mentioned, there's a new page up for him on just the World of Warcraft lore page. Pull that up here as well. Just shows a little bit of his background and what race he is. I think he is an orc. I'm not sure about that, but pretty sure.
Now his story is changed quite a bit from our Blackhand, like our timeline's Blackhand, as opposed to this alternate Draenor, because he was the war chief of the first horde that invaded Azeroth. Gul'dan was obviously the one actually in charge, but he was like the figurehead that everyone knew, and Gul'dan was, in the shadows.
But this time around, he is the first one to join with Grommash.
Yes.
And immediately start making their materials they need.
Yep.
So very interesting. We'll be facing off against Blackhand in the Blackrock Foundry as one of the bosses. Isn't he the final boss, if I'm mistaken, of Blackrock
Yes,
Foundry?
of the first final boss of the first tier.
Yep. So that'll be interesting. He's a very big orc.
Yes. Lots of iron and fire going on.
Something tells me Iron Stars are going to be involved in that fight. And we will be wiping to them repeatedly.
Because that's exactly what Shatrath needs, is Iron Stars coming down. It's going to be awful.
I really like his look, like the, what is that called? It's,
the Deathwing mask?
Well, no, that part of armor is like the gorget, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
The part of the armor that goes around the neck. I really like that. And then, of course, the big iron Blackhand.
Yeah.
And his hammer that appears to have a forge inside of it.
I think a lot of people were surprised that he was not featured in the the videos that Blizzard put out about the Warlords.
Yeah.
Kind of surprised he's not one of them, being as the big role that he's actually playing.
Yeah, I mean, considering that he is the boss of Tier 1 and he didn't have a video, and they said the videos were for the characters that would have big roles to play.
Yet the very
What
first
are their
boss
roles? I mean,
of
what are
tier
the I mean, what are the roles of I mean, obviously Grommash and
yeah, that
Duratan, obviously we know what their roles are, but I mean, if Blackhand didn't get a video, but like Kargath did, and
he's only like the first
and
boss,
Kilrog,
so
then I'm wondering what are they going to be doing?
yeah, who knows? Maybe he'll just have more in-game cinematics and stuff about him in-game as opposed to outside the game.
Yeah,
I think that's where the comic kind of, without talking about the content of the comic, it seems very much like an origin story there.
Yeah.
So maybe due to budgets or anything like that, they've decided to communicate those stories to here. But I agree. I find it very odd that this is an end tier raid boss, and why would they not consider him important enough? This is the guy who we are going to be grinding through for a little bit of time, hopefully not too long. But I think it would have been interesting to find out a bit more about him.
Absolutely.
But yes, it's all going to be good though. I want to get that hammer. I know you can get it in. Diablo's got a transmog option if you get the.
They're gonna have the transmog for it.
That's very cool. Very cool.
Yep.
All right. Any other things on Blackhand before we move on to our final segment of the show?
Are we going to kill him like Gollum? Are we going to push him into the fires of Mount Doom?
I hope so. And then he melts with the hammer on top of him. I don't know. Maybe. All right, moving on to our final segment of the show, The Prince's Gaze, where we look onto the community of World of Warcraft. And this week we're going to talk about, I do not know how to say your name, Dersha. Is that right? Dersha?
I think so.
Dersha Kettlebaum of AAMS Alliance Branch on Cenarion Circle, US, held their 9th annual Armistice Day Ball, a cross-faction open RP event where we commemorate the Battle of Mount Hyjal. Now, have we ever seen or heard or been a part of something like this in World of Warcraft before? This event seems very big as opposed to other RP things I've seen happen in the World of Warcraft.
Definitely. This particular event was held in conjunction with the Sisters of Elune Guild, and they held it in the portal in the middle of Duskwood, that sort of really closed off space in the centre. So it seems like a very massive event, certainly from the photo. There's quite a few people there, but the nearest thing I've ever experienced to this has been launch events, sort of Anchorage or particular just world events really. There's been a couple of things around sort of fireworks nights and things like that where I've been logged on at a particular time to see fireworks over Stormwind just to see what it was like, and there's a lot of people there, but I don't think there's been many world events since, not quite on that sort of Anchorage, hundreds of people just waiting for something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I myself don't. I mean, I've tried out, some servers like this, but I have yet to actually see an event like this take place. I think that's really cool when a whole community comes together for one little event like that. I mean, the most I've seen was on the RP server I played on. I went into the inn at Goldshire and had a very interesting experience. Let me tell you.
You knew what you were expecting when you went in there.
No, I had people tell me about it, so I'm like, okay, I'll just go in there because I didn't believe them. And I saw some very frivolous things going on there. People's parents would not be happy at what they were doing. Let me tell you. Though if I would have had a couple more ales, I probably would have been okay with everything that happened.
You're like, all right, this seems normal.
It's where you summon your wingman in, and it all kicks off.
Exactly. But events like this, these big ones that aren't full of alcohol and promiscuous things, are very interesting, and I'd love to actually have one happen on one of my servers, but I don't play it on RP server. Do you think we could ever see an event like this happen on a just a standard server?
Yeah, I think so. Especially, I mean, since so much stuff is, cross realm, all that kind of stuff now.
That's the thing. I mean, this is obviously a very well organized guild event, and it's fantastic that they've got this sort of cross faction Armistice Day thing going on. The reason I'm so impressed is because it's very hard to imagine conveying that into a game where people, quite frankly, would be bothered. But obviously they've got a very good idea, a very good cause in mind. But I would love to see this. Unfortunately, I just have never, like, when I say I've never encountered it, I've never been walking through the world and just seen a gathering like that ever. I mean, maybe it's because they're choosing remote locations like this, or maybe they're all in Silvermoon City or something like that. Maybe that's where all the fun's happening.
Yeah, I think the biggest gathering of players I've ever seen is, usually around expansion launches when everybody's doing the same quests at the same time.
Yeah.
Dark Portal Party.
Yay!
Dark Portal Party. Everybody take off your armor. Summon your wingmen.
Hey,
What is the chat going to be like? Right, gearing up to that. It's
I'm
going
going
to be
to
awful.
turn it off.
It's going to be absolutely diabolical.
Definitely. Now, I wonder for the Warlords launch if it's going to be everybody gather at the Dark Portal or everybody gather in your capital city like you did for Miss Pandaria. Be interesting. I hope they tell you.
But saying that has the potential. I mean, I joke that it'd be diabolical, but seriously, I think that's something I'd actually really look forward to. I mean, when's the expansion going to go live? What time? Midnight? Or
it'll be midnight for some specific time zone. I think it was like midnight East Coast time for like US East Coast. Yeah, when it came out for MOP.
So is that the set servers themselves, or is that going to be global servers will go live at, say, 12 midnight your time?
No, they do it by regions. Like, different regions happen at, like, the midnight. Because I remember I had an Australian friend who was bragging about, being level 87 or something before I had even started playing.
Oh, wow. Jeez. That's impressive.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything specific to European realms that maybe they're more inclined for this. I don't know. I would love to see it though. I can't wait.
I want them to turn off, the no PvP around the Dark Portal, so it'll be just like the Burning Crusade. Everyone will just be killing each other, waiting to go into the Dark Portal.
That might be an idea. It might not be good if everyone starts the expansion corpse running.
Perfect. I remember Cataclysm's launch, everybody rushed to the flight trainer. That was the first thing you did, so you could fly around Azeroth then.
Yeah.
That's
going to be a shame, isn't it, when everyone's just getting their last 10 minutes of flying out the way.
Pretty much. But anything else about big events before we wrap up the show? We've had quite a long show, actually. I mean, including the downtime that we had there for a minute. But
yeah, the technical difficulties.
But otherwise, it's been a pretty good length of a show.
We covered a lot. It was starting off to be a slow news week, but everything's just rushed through under the mat at the last minute.
And believe it or not, next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a lot to talk about because I believe all of us will have had quite a bit of time in the new patch come next week.
Yeah.
Why doesn't my arcane explosion work?
So definitely stay tuned for us next week when we'll be covering all of that. Plus, like Tom said, we'll be talking about BlizzCon parties, stuff like that. But now we'll move on to our final segment, the Hero's Call, where we make out any community shoutouts if we have any community shoutouts. And we'll start with you, Britza Tom. What you got?
Jumping straight at me. I think I'm kind of prepared. I think. No, I'm not. I'm nowhere near prepared. Skip me. No.
Are
I
not
haven't.
prepared.
I was not prepared. No, I haven't really got any major shout outs. Just to go through Twitter, and a lot of people have been engaged with us. There's Caroline Bolger, who goes at Caroline A_B. Jim Norav, who's at NoravMB.
You took mine.
Oh, sorry. I ignore that. Ignore that one. And also, here's one. Andrea J. Zabo. I'm going to go with that. Who's at Zephyr? I get the hard ones. At Zephira_AIE, who been sort of engaged with the show. So that's been great. But I didn't talk about the one you were going to mention, Charlie.
No,
Sorry.
it's all right.
Say it again.
Norav, shout out to you. You've mentioned us several times, so thank you for that. I'd also like to give a shout out to Realm Maintenance. They retweet almost everything we put out about the show, so I would just love to thank Realm Maintenance for keeping up with us and every other WoW podcast out there. They are great for that. So definitely a big thank you to them. What about you, Zul?
Zul?
I'm basically right there with you guys. Everyone that's been interacting with the show on Twitter and listening to us blabber on, stuff like that.
That is what we do. We blabber.
I think it's more me who blabbers more than anything else. But what I will say actually is, obviously, we'll say in a second that our email address is. But if there's anyone who is going to BlizzCon, please do get in touch, because obviously Tyler's going to be there, and obviously it'd be great to sort of meet people at BlizzCon. But also, if you're not going to BlizzCon, and like me and Zul, you're going to be sitting in front of your computer like you do every day, watching it, then give us a shout as well, because we'd love to sort of perhaps get people involved in some sort of potential streaming event as things are going on, and maybe sort of combine that with some in-game stuff. So we're running some ideas around at the moment, but definitely if you're either side of that, going to BlizzCon or not going to BlizzCon but watching it margin, let us know, and obviously keep your questions coming in.
Yep, absolutely. And if you want to send in questions, we are available on Twitter at Geeks of Azeroth, as well as Gmail. You can send us an email at geeksofazeroteg@gmail.com. We would love to answer your questions on the show. And if you're looking for more ways to watch the show, you can catch us on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and Twitch. And why did you add in the hitbox is coming soon again?
No, that's because I copied it from another schedule. Never. My bad. It's not coming to hitbox ever.
So just Twitch, YouTube, Stitcher, and iTunes. And you can all catch us at our personal Twitter handles. Me, I am at Tarly_pause with a Z. Where can we get you, Zul?
At Zulgeek.
And Tom, what about you?
At TC McIlroy.
And if you like this show, if you want more WoW news, more other MMO news, other video games, reviews of a certain alien horror game that scares the pants off of me, other such things like that, you can go to epicgeeks.co.uk. We've got plenty of content for you to look at. But otherwise, hope everybody has a great week in Azeroth, and stay tuned for next week's episode. It's going to be a busy one.
Yes.